According to new federal data, a record number of people are now unhoused, more than 653,000, a 12% population increase since last year.
One expanse of 50 city blocks is an area that's become synonymous with poverty, crime, and homelessness.
En la región de Centroamérica y la República Dominicana, una de cada 3 personas es pobre. ¿Pero qué quiere decir exactamente esta cifra? ¿Cómo entenderla?
Good day everyone, welcome to our vlog. Today we are going to explore a critical topic, which is the impact of employment and income inequality or poverty in US. Let's start our vlog with the problem statement. Poverty in the US remains a major social and economic concern. Even though the country is among the wealthiest in the world, a significant portion of the population continue to live below the poverty line. This ongoing poverty negatively impacts both individual well-being and national economic stability. There are two key contributors that persistently drive poverty, which are unemployment and income inequality. To achieve a deeper understanding, we have identified the following objectives. Firstly, assess the relationship between unemployment and poverty. Secondly, confirm the model predictions for poverty are reliable and the data behaves in a way that supports solid conclusion. Thirdly, ensure the model accurately reflects the relationship between poverty, unemployment, and income inequalities and that all relevant factors are considered. Fourthly, check whether the model predictions are constant over time, ensuring no hidden patterns or dependency affect the result. Lastly, determine if the relationship between poverty, unemployment, and income inequality remains stable across different observations by ensuring the model estimates are not influenced by a varying level of data reliability. For economic model, there are three main pillars. The first one is poverty. Poverty is a condition where individual or household lack of resources to make basic living standard. Measure poverty using the headcount ratio of the population living below $6.85 per day, adjusted for 2017 purchasing power parity. The second one is the employment. This refers to the percentage of the workforce that does not have jobs but is actively looking for jobs. High employment rate will result in fewer stable income resources, contributing to the rising of poverty level. The last one is income inequality. Income inequality measures how income is distributed within a population. It is evaluated using a share of income held by the lowest 20%. Greater inequality between the richest and the poorest group, which is the worrisome poverty. Now, let's look at the theoretical and econometric aspect of this model. The theoretical framework simplifies poverty as a function of unemployment and income inequality, which is poverty equals to the function of unemployment, income inequality. The econometric model explains this with the following formulas. To test this model, we use data collected from the World Bank between 1989 to 2022. Firstly, the poverty headcount ratio is at $6.85 per day. This is our main dependent variable representing the percentage of people living below the poverty line. The next one is unemployment rate. This is data we retrieve from the World Bank Labor Force Statistics. And the last one is income shares held at the lowest 20%. This is data from the World Bank on income inequality. The data set allows us to analyze the trend over time and understand the relationship among poverty, unemployment, and income inequality. You may also scan this QR code to get the data collected from the World Bank website.
Moving on, our group have collected some findings through e-views. We're going to start off by explaining the correlation. A correlation of negative 0.189773 between poverty levels and the income share by the lowest 20 indicates a strong negative relationship. This means by when the income share by the lowest 20% have decreases, there will be a significant increase in the poverty levels. Then, a correlation of 0.122662 between poverty levels and unemployment rates indicates a very weak positive relationship, whereby if unemployment rate slightly increase, then the poverty levels tend to increase marginally as well. The scatter plot on the left side shows a very weak positive relationship between unemployment rate and poverty levels, whereby the data points are loosely clustered around a slight upward sloping line. The scatter plot on the right side shows a strong negative relationship between poverty levels and the income share by the lowest 20%, whereby the data points are tightly clustered around a steep downward sloping line. Next, our group also uses e-views to test for statistical significance. For statistical significance, we set the null hypothesis as there is no relationship between the independent variables and dependent variables, whereas the alternative hypothesis as there is relationship between independent variables and dependent variables. The decision rule will be, if the p-value is smaller than 0.05, we will reject the null hypothesis, which means by the independent variables have statistical significance effect on the dependent variables. The EVU findings from the previous slide shows that the p-value for both unemployment rate and also income share by the lowest 20% is lower than 0.05. Therefore, we shall reject the null hypothesis. Then, we can conclude that the unemployment rate and also income share by the lowest 20 has statistical significance effect on the poverty levels. The EVUs also shows the R-squared value, which is a test for goodness of faith. Our R-squared values is 0.711084. This shows that our model can explain 71.1% of the variance in the independent variables, which is the poverty levels. This indicates that our model is a good fit. However, leaving 28.9% of the variances unexplained. This can be caused by the other external factors. We also carry out the regression equation specification error test to test that whether our linear model has been correctly specified. In the Ramsey reset test, the null hypothesis states that the model is correctly specified and the alternative hypothesis states that the model is incorrectly specified. The decision rule here will be, if p-value is smaller than 0.05, we will reject the null hypothesis, which shows that the model is misspecified. However, in our model, our p-value is 0.6337, which is bigger than 0.05. Therefore, we do not reject the null hypothesis. This shows that our model is correctly specified and there is no omitted variables and no incorrect functional relationship in the model. We also use EVUs to test for the normality using the Jack-Barrett test. For the Jack-Barrett test, we set the null hypothesis as that the data is normally distributed, and the alternative hypothesis is that the data is not normally distributed. The decision rule will be, if p-value is smaller than 0.05, we will reject the null hypothesis, which shows that there is no significant departure of normality from the data. In our data, our p-value is 0.786980, which shows that our p-value here is bigger than 0.05. Therefore, we do not reject the null hypothesis. We accept the null hypothesis, which shows that our data is normally distributed. Our group also carry out the Brooks-Gorfi-LM test. The Brooks-Gorfi-LM test is a test for the existence of autocorrelation in the residual of the linear regression model at different legs, in this case 2 legs. The null hypothesis here will be, there's no serial correlation in the residual and regressor, and the alternative hypothesis is, there is a serial correlation in the residual and regressor. The decision rule here will be, if the p-value is smaller than 0.05, then we will reject the null hypothesis. In this case, the p-value is 0.2360, then, which is bigger than 0.05, we do not reject the null hypothesis, which implies that there is no serial correlation in the residual. Next, we carry out the White test. White test is a test for heteroscedasticity. The null hypothesis here is there are constant variance in the residuals, whereas the alternative hypothesis is there are no constant variance in the residuals. The decision rule here will be, if the test statistics of the White test, which is the observed R-squared value, is bigger than the critical value in a chi-squared table, then we will reject the null hypothesis. At the same time, if the p-value is smaller than 0.05 of level significance, then we will reject the null hypothesis. In this case, the test statistics is 2.945275, which is smaller than the critical value in a chi-squared table. Therefore, we do not reject the null hypothesis. At the same time, the p-value is 0.7084, which is bigger than the p-value of 0.05. Then, we do not reject the null hypothesis. In this case, this implies that the variance is constant among the residuals in our regression model.
To tackle this issue, we can focus on 2 key areas. The first recommendation for improvement is policy to reduce unemployment. High unemployment links directly to higher poverty rates. Thus, effective policies such as jobs guarantee program must be implemented. It is because it will ensure employment opportunity for anyone willing to work. For instance, government jobs can critical sectors like healthcare, education, and also environmental conservation. Secondly, social safety nets must be improved because strengthened nets can help vulnerable populations access basic services. For instance, expanding access to healthcare is crucial to reduce the financial strain on low-income families, such as through medical aids or universal healthcare system. As a result, the multiple regression analysis model effectively quantifies the relationship between the unemployment, income inequality, and poverty in the US. All tests confirm that both factors significantly impact poverty as shown by their coefficients. The model predictions are reliable, consistent, and aligned with the theoretical expectations, which make it suitable for analysis this relationship. By examining unemployment and income inequality, our model is really suitable to explain the relationship between unemployment and income inequality or poverty in the US. Thank you for joining us, and let's continue working together towards solutions that create a fairer and more inclusive economy for everyone. Bye!